Trump and Mexico have announced this postponement of the tariffs on Mexico. What do you make of that?
I mean, this is Trump is thinking from the economic point of view in a short term, and he thinks that by imposing this, he was able to raise more money for the USA economy in the short term. And this basically would be the fact, by adding this, traffic on the goods and services, this will increase the amount that will come to the USA at the end of the year. But in the longer term, it's not clear what will be the consequences of this. Obviously, Trump is using the economic angle to put pressure on his country for political reasons. And maybe he would like to negotiate on other things before he releases, traffic. The same thing has been done by Europe as well. We would see, bad impacts on the global economy, especially for, countries that is really exporting a lot with increases in the price and again higher inflation.
Okay, and Dr. Aboud, of course we have these tariffs being slapped onto Canada and China starting from tomorrow. What will be the impact of those tariffs, not only on Canada and on China, but what would be the impact on the United States?
I mean, obviously, if you think from the internal point of view, I mean, if you look at the numbers, this should be somehow improve the internal production and motivate the internal economy by pushing the products of all this coming from internal sources, and then will be put pressure on the exported goods as well. So you will see some increase in the prices of some of the goods in the USA, especially the ones that are imported from outside the USA. But it will give a competitive advantage to the local products as well. And that's the Trump idea. He would like to somehow provide incentives for the USA economy and the USA businesses to have competitive advantage by putting pressure and traffics on the USA or the exported goods from outside, the goods that will come from outside the USA, which could be good for the USA economy in short term. But however, if you consider the global trade, the supply chain, it's not only final product. When you impose this traffic, we impose it also on the raw materials that come from outside the USA and used in the USA for production as well. So it could lead to decrease in the production level in the USA. We'll see in the coming months the direct impact of this. It may be also lead to increase in the prices in some of the goods in the USA. It may lead to decrease the production level in the USA. Also, it may bring more money to the budget, but it may affect the productivity and the efficiency of the USA economy as well.
Well, we were just hearing from Donald Trump as he just before he got a flight, and he was saying there and warning that the EU will be next. How realistic is the threat, do you think? It sounds pretty. He sounds pretty sure of it. And also, how frightened are the EU that this could start some kind of trade war?
I mean, obviously, this announcement come really like a big headache for the EU that is really struggling at the moment financially with high level of inflation, low productivity, issues in the labor market. And the EU already suffering a lot economically and financially these days. And with this, with this issue coming as well from the USA, we have seen, the EU leaders start, talking about it, discussing it in an informal way. But I think they are more into negotiation and talks about it with the Trump and the USA leadership about it to come up to agreement. And I think what caused this announcement is that the deficit that in the trade between the USA and Europe, because basically it seems that from the numbers we can see the USA imported goods more from the EU And it seems that the EU is focusing on other countries as well to import goods, and this caused some, issues for Trump. He said, they should have, bought from us and use our products as well. We should bought more cars from our side, and the deficit we have in the trade between the EU and the USA is causing this issue. I think if they have a good conversation, if they have good negotiation and talk, this could be sorted easily between Europe and EU and Trump, especially that EU don't really to clash with USA. They think that this is the only, it's a big ally. This is the one that is really, we are always together. And I think they will try to negotiate and, bring it to the table and have some discussion about it, maybe by increasing the number of, goods they import from the USA, maybe by adding a little bit of, increase in the prices. But I think they will come up to agreement on this issue.
Now, President Trump has defended tariffs, and he once said that the most beautiful word in the English language is tariffs, and he says that they're necessary for protecting America's interests. Some economists have accused Donald Trump of not really understanding how tariffs work. What do you think? Do you think he knows what he's doing, and could this harm the U.S. economy in the long term?
Obviously, clearly, what is Trump is trying to do is against what we, try to achieve in recent years, what have achieved in the recent years was, trade, global trade, ease of move of goods and service between countries. We have been, mourning for this for many years, and this has been appearing until now. Goods coming from China to USA, from anywhere that you can easily now, find anything anywhere, basically, right? And this was the current state of the economy. And, when we have a little issue with the supply chain after COVID-19, you can see how this will be affecting everyone with the supply chain issues. And the traffic would do the same thing. It will put more restriction on the trade, on the movement of goods and service. It will reduce the competitiveness between countries, and it will put some countries in advantage for particular products. And this will cause some issue with the trade and with the economic growth as well, with the inflation, and